a little lazy on the beats this week, so thought I'd write a rhyme. Yo, welcome into the parlor. It's the K to the O to the Allah. Dip the flip the script a little bit. I'm a nuzzle like a tame impala. It used to be the land of Lala. Now it's all about blah 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 blah. Brit Pelican, DBL, G&G got me going crazy, ga ga ga. If I'm hungry, I'll hit up the Lada. So bold that I don't need a barber. Insanity, my cup of tea, better, stronger, faster and harder. Hey. Glad I found Koala gang. Hey, yeah. Glad I found Koala gang. I used to get butt wild as a super dance child. Amiga 500 Dr. Man was a style. They contribute figures on a crap laptop. Crack dusty beats, crash and crack that's a pop. Now I'm making beats with Eucalyptus Club. Sure beats spending all the money in the pub. Barrick is the god, Raymond is the king. Koala people, let me hear you sing. Hey, glad I found Koala gang. Hey, yeah. Glad I found Koala gang. I don't even care. No, I don't care. I don't even care. No, I don't care. Hey, Koala. It's so intuitive. Even my 5-year-old can use it. Check it out.
I'm making music.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Koala Beatcast number 97. I'm your host for this week, Danny Funk's my name, Sugar. I'm joined by a fabulously haired group of guests. We have the Gerbaby himself, Mr. Michael Gerbaby, the Gerbington Gerber the Third. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know what that was.
Hi, everyone.
We have Pete Sasquaxington. He's been waxing on and off his waxing. Pete Waxington. Well, this is going well. And we got Pablo Ablo Wabbly Wablo and his
Speaking
eyes.
along in his Diablo.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. See, Pablo's a professional. He saved me when he saw I was floundering.
We've been practicing this so well.
One team, one dream. We're on it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show,
welcome
Pablo.
to Koala Beatcast 97. Welcome all. How's things? How's your week? What's been going on? Anyone? Anything?
My week, I've had a very interesting one of basically my 3-year-old daughter just kind of grown into telling me about myself.
Oh, great. That's just what you want.
Yeah, definitely. So just telling me about myself and just sort of saying no, Daddy, I want that sandwich closed. Take it back. I almost kind of feel as if, am I going to get a good review today? Yeah, I've been kept to my toes. My self-esteem's up and down, but I think she's got to hold on to me for a bit longer. So that's kind of been my week. So,
Lucky you.
Yeah, she needs like a sort of like Yelp thing for parents. Like, is that what's the thing with where you give reviews for people?
TripAdvisor.
Yeah, TripAdvisor. We need a parent advisor, just in case anyone wants to borrow parents or. How's your week been, Pete?
It's been all right. I have no idea what I've done. The week.
No, I'm me neither. That's why I ask other people. Yeah,
it does that. The week just it travels. I've currently got a cat sat on me, which has been much of the week, to be fair. So yeah,
nice.
Just
you wouldn't. You shouldn't move for the sake of the cat, right?
No, definitely not. No, he's pretty chilling.
Michael has just been to the dentist, but you were surprisingly upbeat backstage. I wonder if you're now going to put on this like kind of.
No, my mouth is just like numb, but otherwise I'm
Oh
fine.
yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah,
cool.
for sure.
You know, when you said that Michael was in the dentist chair, all I could think of was I don't know, Pablo, if you remember this, the Teddy Sheringham, Paul Gascoigne era when they were when they were drinking shots in the dentist chair. It was like a big national scandal.
Wow!
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. Yeah. Oh wow!
That's all I could think of, man. I was just like, he's in the dentist chair. I was like, seriously, that's insane.
Oh, nuts.
So Potato Moon says he expected Pablo to sound more Spanish.
Yeah, it's basically just a blag. Like my actual real name is Paul, and Pablo just sounds more interesting. And there's actually an interesting story sort of like behind my name. So I might kind of do some self-indulgence later on. It basically involved a student party and an unsuccessful conversation with somebody I was trying to make a relationship with on a short-term basis. It's the best way that I'll describe it. And I might indulge it later on. But yeah, it's
all right, cool.
Yeah,
sweet.
See, stay tuned.
All right,
We've got Easter eggs coming up.
Yeah, we've got a few announcements, but I'm going to open with Pablo I's video, and then we're going to play them in twos, but I won't this one because we're going to talk to Pablo about his new project that he's dropping. So let's run the track, then we'll talk about the track and talk about other things, and we'll be back in a sec.
Run the
Sounds
track.
good.
Beautiful.
Oh, man.
Bass was on point.
Yeah, man.
No, cheers, man. Cheers, guys.
It would be a ridiculous thing to say, but you can't not say it. It's like, oh, Paul, who's
sounds
really
fun.
nice on bass, has a nice bass line. Imagine that. But
The second half was the second half bass guitar as well, or was
And
it more synthesized?
the second half just put an 808 sort of like bass. And I just thought it was interesting because when I was kind of making it, I thought it kind of feels like it needs that proper like distorted low mid 808 thing. But I was like, do you know what? Let me mix it up and kind of just throw one of like my loops I sort of like made just to put it on. It was just a case, I suppose, a bit of variation really, as well as so a bit of variation is my clever response. The real response is I was running out of ideas and I just needed to mix it up. So between the
They're
two,
basically the same thing, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. No, it's good. It sounded fat, man.
Nah, wicked. Appreciate it.
So cool. Why don't you tell us about what's going on? You've been teasing a drop, and here we are. It's time. It's time for you to drop it.
Time to drop it. Well, I don't know how the Necro voice came out there, but you know what? Drop it. But yeah, basically. So I mean, I've been kind of doing like my thing, like Shake Works for about a year of play bass and doing. I thought I'd experiment with doing like bass loop sample packs, and that's kind of been building bit by bit. But the idea for doing an actual course, which is what this project is that kind of came from a few conversations with people of like, oh no man, I want to do it myself, or I want to hire you to kind of play bass. I do a lot of session bass stuff, and I thought to myself, okay, so there's kind of taken samples which I've kind of grown up doing, but then there's the whole idea of okay, you kind of want to delve deeper into this rabbit hole craft yourself. So it's one of those things of, as opposed, there's like two options of the sample packs. You kind of make something with like a template and mold it into your own, or actually kind of make it for yourself, because certain people I've been doing session bass stuff for, they've just sort of said like, the bass just doesn't feel right, doesn't sort of like feel right. And that's constantly the phrase. So that's kind of what I've named the course, like, to get the feel right. So I've just kind of realized it's a bit of a reoccurring problem. So it's my way of thinking, okay, right, how can I kind of do this apart from giving a sample pack is one option, but giving people what I kind of know so they can do it in their own way is one thing. And basically the process of putting it together was pretty interesting, because I mean, I've been playing bass for like 10 years and then making beats, say, for 20. So I started off beat making, then played bass because actually I was fed up on my bass lines. I thought they were terrible, and it's annoying because it's the part of music I latch onto the most. Like, I think it kind of comes from having a dad playing reggae, coming home from school, and I was like, I love bass lines, but my bass lines are awful. So I learned bass, played in jazz big bands, and did all of that. But then with like playing bass, it's like, right, okay. When people are looking for, like, when I'm going down Reddit thread rabbit holes and like YouTube things, people are kind of going, oh yeah, there's lots of questions around bass, but they're trying to get it from an instrumentalist perspective. It's like, no, I don't want to slap bass. I don't want to kind of get into the circle of fifths. I don't want to kind of do like lots of finger exercises. I make beats, I make bass lines either with like one shot guitar samples or with sub bass or whatever. I want to know how to program stuff. So I thought, all right, I make beats, let me kind of structure it in this way and kind of give people an idea of approaching it. So it's me just trying to kind of put all I know into like a course so people can kind of break down and do it for themselves, essentially.
Specifically about getting your bottom to work.
Getting that bottom to work.
Getting that bottom bounce.
Getting that bottom bounce. Absolutely.
How about that bass?
Absolutely. And
nice.
Kind of,
so how's it structured? How does it work?
Yeah, how does it work? So basically it's structured mainly around videos and the work and the workbook. So in terms of videos, there's 10 video tutorials, and I'm kind of like breaking down concepts of, firstly, sound design, getting the tone right, like melodies. I'm kind of, people talk a lot about scales, but I'm talking a lot about some other stuff which you can kind of grasp. So tone, melodies. I'm also talking about also the composition side, in that how you can kind of structure a particular way to make a loop not sound like a loop just by doing the bass line, just by the actual sort of like bass line. So I'm breaking down each of these sort of like concepts, and then what I'm doing, I'm just kind of showing how you can do it, in that, say, I'm providing sort of like one shots. I know everyone's got one shots, but just so it's straight out of the box, here's some one shots, here are some activities that you can sort of like do. And I'm kind of like breaking it down of actually like taking different styles of beats and kind of showing, okay, this is a different approach. You can sort of start off with, it's how you can sort of like structure the melody, or it's how you could structure, say, the groove, not just the notes, but all like the articulations, the things that I do on bass. So I'm just kind of breaking that down in the video tutorials. I've got like a PDF sort of like workbook, so you haven't got to keep looking back at all of the videos. I'm kind of defining a term. I've got a concept, and then I've got 3 videos, which was quite funny to record. I just hit record, and I'm saying, right, let me follow my own process live. So it's basically like, because I find sometimes, of course, is seeing the components are cool. I want to see how they're all put together. So I thought I'd take the idea just to make it crystal clear. So you see me working through my own process, but not on bass guitar, but actually using sort of like one shot. So it's not just you watching me play bass, because if it's about using what people have sort of like got, like say one shots and sort of stuff like that. So it's very kind of video.
So it's fundamental like bass techniques for non-bass players, but beat makers.
Essentially, that
sounds cool.
That's basically it.
Nice.
And so if it goes well, then I put myself out of business. If it goes somewhere in the middle, then people somehow still be in contact with me in some way, shape, or form.
That's the sweet spot, isn't it? You need it to go like quite well.
I'm not sure anyone's going to be... I'm not sure that's the exact URL. There we go. I was going to say, that's good. All right, so it's FBCLID equals capital PAA, small AA.
All right.
But no, that's awesome, man. Sounds great. And we'll check it out after
I thought about it
a
little different.
Yeah,
I thought a little bit different than you, Danny, because I think like... You really can't teach. I mean, you can teach somebody to play bass, but it's a completely different thing. It would be a completely different course, right? And instead, it's more like if you're a beat maker and you're not at a point where you want to learn bass, how could you make interesting bass lines? And Paul essentially is showing us the way he does it. So whether he's using his own bass that he's playing, or whether he's grabbing music from somewhere else, whether it's a one shot or chopping up a sample, this is his mindset of how he goes about doing it. I mean, that's sort of the way I interpreted it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you just demonstrated of you putting it a lot clearer than I sort of like do. I've been knee deep in making tutorials and stuff, but essentially the whole idea is that you don't need to play bass, but in some way, shape, or form, your beats are going to have some sort of bass line, whether that's kind of like a synth, an 808, or like a guitar sort of like sample. So it's about the how to actually sort of like put it together with your tools. And I just kind of feel as if, because I've obsessed over it, and now I've got to a point of like, right, I can play the instrument I'm obsessed with. Let me translate to using it with samples and plugins, and let me just kind of really delve into it, because I just hear it as a problem come up with people all the time. And I'm thinking, can I do? I
mean, it's a similar thing to people often ask, like, oh, you know, my drums don't sound right or whatever, and people's advice is often like, well, think like a drummer. It's like, well, if you're not a drummer, how easy is it to think like a drummer? And it's the same thing for bass.
The other thing as well, though, is kind of, if like my favorite bassist is James Jamerson, but if you put that in a hip hop track, that does not work. Like James Jamerson does way too much. It's basically doing. It's amazing if you've got Stevie Wonder doing all kinds of stuff over the top. But if you're just making a basic beat, your bass is showing up your beat. It's doing way too much.
And I think that's the thing as well. I think Norris will bring that up, Pete, in that, especially where I'm coming from. In that, I play lots of class music, but I predominantly make, basically everything for me starts from hip hop. Like that's kind of like my base, and especially playing bass, I've been fortunate enough that it's been paying like bills of like people coming back to me to play bass lines, because I know how to play bass on beats. It's different playing live. Like when I do my jazz stuff, I'm playing different. When I'm playing on beats, it's different. So it's thinking about what does a beat actually need. It's actually harder because it's minimal, but it's got to be interesting. Because sometimes it's just not what you play, but it's sort of like how you play, and it's making it tailored to how we make music. Because if it's too busy, then it's a case of, well, this isn't a beat. This just sounds like somebody hasn't found the part.
Totally, man.
Sometimes you have to try and avoid falling into the trap of trying to impress the people hiring you by being flashy, because that's not what you're there for. Because sometimes they just want you to put it down. And you're like, oh, well, I could do this, and they're like, well, what,
Do you know what's really interesting is that I think certain bass lines sound simple, but they're kind of not. Like I'm just because I was listening to the other day, like I think that Busta Rhymes Anarchy album's forgotten about a lot. There's one track which like Nuts produced called like Trip Out of Town. I transcribed it bit by bit, and I swear, I mean, I kind of obsess over Nuts, but the thing is, there's so much stuff he's doing within each of the notes, which until you really break it down, you kind of go, oh, he just kind of playing different bits. It's like, no, it's like, are you a bass player? Like what you're kind of like doing is like, man. So it sounds simple, but it's a lot of it's about feel, and especially with feel, just translating it's all setups. Like I wanted to do something which was just using one shots, not like say like plugins, because because I mean for me day to day I'm producing on this unless I'm doing like a video sync project. When I'm making beats, I'm using Koala, so it's the very fact of just principles you can use across kind of platforms as opposed to it being plug-in and computer specific. So that was just a lot of the thinking going into that.
Yeah, cool.
Beautiful.
All right, well we'll mention it again and put the link up again later on in the stream. But for now, let's play some music, shall we?
Yeah, man, definitely.
And we'll be back after this. We got Sample the World coming up now.
Oh yeah.
Wow. So I was going to play another track, but I thought maybe we should talk about that before I do, because that was pretty wild, man.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, man.
Should we do single tracks, maybe?
No, I'll do doubles, but okay. I just felt because that was so different, it deserves a little stop to talk about it.
Yeah, especially different for Jason as well. I don't think he's done I've not seen like a live performance thing from him before.
Danny's playing favorites. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
He's gonna play 5 tracks for mine during mine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like technique-wise, the fact that he started that looping into an existing sequence without having the metronome going, that was pretty impressive to start.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it without a click. And then, I mean, obviously he was following the blink, but still, that was just pretty mind-blowing.
Cool.
He is a drummer, though. Let's not forget. So he has got.
Yeah.
He could quite easily just locks that timing in.
Good rhythm.
Just gone with that.
Yeah. That was really cool.
It was really nice to see. It's ballsy as well. I mean, I know you can always go back and do like, I'll do a second take or 10th take or whatever you need.
Well,
but at the same time,
we actually need to find out how many takes there were before, because that wasn't probably the first, I imagine.
No, I mean that makes no difference, though, does it? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Obviously, the key to any kind of spontaneous live performance is getting your shit prepared, isn't it? And like making sure that you're in the right place to go at it. Like even if you're going to completely just improvise something, you've practiced your improvisation. You might not have practiced that thing you're going to do right there, but you have practiced doing that for hours and hours and hours, which is it's just great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. A lot of the time when I'm doing flips that are actually performance based to record, sometimes setting that up and getting that right, it takes longer than sequencing. It's not necessarily a shortcut. Sometimes it is a shortcut because it's like in my head I see 4 or 5 different things that I can sequence, and it's like I just can't. I'd rather just try, and if I get it the first time, then I've saved loads of time. But so you just kind of like risk it, and then you end up like regretting it by take 60 quite often. But
so for me, I I usually just come up with parts that work together, but then on the night that I have to deliver the track, I usually don't have any idea how I'm going to sequence it. And so what I often do is I don't even give it thought. I actually just hit the record and just do a take. And it's usually awful. But by the 4th or 5th time of trying it, I at least have some sense of like, well, this has to go before that. And like, this has to be faded in. This one, you have to start like abruptly. So at a certain point, like I do 20 takes, and then all of a sudden I'm like a well-oiled machine. I like know what to do, and every track, every take sounds completely different. But like eventually, I'm just hoping, like you, Danny, I'm hoping the first one's good, and sometimes I get lucky.
Usually it isn't.
Sometimes I get lucky, and sometimes I don't.
Or if you get lucky, making sure you capture it at that point. Because that's the worst thing. Like, that sounded so good. Oh, well.
Oh, I didn't record it.
Yeah, the other thing is
everybody's done that.
You're like, the thing that I keep doing is like, that take was perfect. I'll just use it, and then later on realize I didn't use half my sequences, and then I'm like, well, fuck it. No one cares anyway. No one's heard the other sequences I didn't use.
So
I'll just leave them out.
I got one really, really good take last night, and I was like, okay, that's it. That one's good enough. It's good. And then I go to like close down save the project, and that's when I realized that Koala actually wasn't routed to my master bus.
Oh no!
It was just out to the speaker, so I had the master bus on the speaker and Koala on the speaker. I'm like, I guess I'm retaking it.
Yeah.
I learned to trust the first one a lot more. I used to do the first one and go, that's pretty good, but I'll do some more, and then like gradually it just gets worse. Second's not quite as good, third's worse than that, and you're just like, what am I doing? Let's just go with the first one.
Yeah.
So if you can do, the first one's often the one.
Hey.
So you guys, so getting back to the track. So I thought the bass was really cool. I really, really liked the bass.
Yeah,
you
awesome.
guys caught on to the synth, but I thought the synth was like a little below the mix, and it was a little like more understated. It like seemed to complement the rest of the track. But you guys were like, that's nasty. And in my head, I was thinking it was more like, I don't know, like more part of the track and less like a standout piece. Do you know what I mean? The vocals I thought were really cool.
Yeah,
Go.
I just thought he knocked up a nasty patch. It was nice. It was like some
The synth bass.
real
for sure.
filth on the synth. Yeah.
The thing is, it was nasty, but it has had really cool sort of like texture. Because everything else, like,
Yeah, movement to it.
and this was like,
yeah, it was a nice rhythm too.
Yeah,
it's just like, just that texture just rounded it off nicely. I mean,
Yeah, man.
I mean, I mean, you're gonna see me doing. I'm kind of like a face person. I was like doing this. I've got different sort of like moves. So I kind of was doing that one. So I think that's the greatest.
The stank face.
And
you literally review it with facial expressions. I don't need to say anything.
All right, let's move on. We've got something coming up now, and then we'll have something else after that. So let's go.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah, man. Hopefully, if it goes to plan, that is.
Beautiful.
The road is your oyster, she said, and it got me right in the jellied eels. That's not a dirty euphemism, it simply means the feels. Cockney rhyming slang, East End with a briny twang. Straight up the apples and pears, cause he who wins is he who dares. Or she, or they. Oh, no sway with bigotry, and knowing wink is not obligatory. I have been the better man figuratively and literally. Not recently, admittedly. Still, times being what they are, immutable, indefensible, inscrutable.
That's just where we are now. Insatiable urge to be more zen-like. Urge to free my mind like.
I perambulate along the banks of the dark water. Being as I am, my destiny's author, and in leaner times, a porter. Let it not be said that I'm a bitter man, unless the wife where you stand is in need of a writ in hand. I was not, sir, as you crudely contest, unravelling my javelin. Why, I should flay the fetid fingers you clasp at gavelin. As it pleased this court to know, Madame Madeline does not hold with travelling, so she cannot attend, and I must fend against this filth you dabble in on my Todd, which means alone, which is how we all came in, and now we all go back out.
That's just where we are.
I think that's my cue.
Insatiable urge to be more zen-like. Urge to free my mind.
And we're back.
Back in the room.
That was cool.
Yeah, maybe we should do it in reverse order. We should maybe talk about.
Yeah, let's do it
grants
because while it's let's do that.
See, the thing that stood out straight away is the thing that I really love that Granny does a lot is you can hear, like, obviously we've all heard the sample, we've been playing around with it, so you can hear what the sample is, but it becomes very quickly not the sample, but it retains the texture that you recognize. Like it's got a kind of an odd jaunty feel to it, hasn't it, the original sample? Which he did have, but he'd flipped it in such a way that made it his, but it was constant. Like, you could hear the sample all the way through the track.
Yeah.
But he switched it up and applied his own thing, which is I always really, really appreciate. It's that fine line between, like, I don't want to hear a loop of the sample. I want to hear somebody who's done something different with the sample, but I still like to hear where the sample is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, it was nice. And the filtering at the end, the sound just sounded really good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
I was feeling like a harpsichord sort of feel to it, and it was kind of light and intricate, which kind of reminded me of the band Plaid. I don't know if you guys are familiar with. I'm sure Pete is.
Yeah, man, we know Plaid.
I mean, it wasn't as overly textured as Plaid, because Plaid will do melody into melody into melody. It'll have like 5 melodies that are all going at once, but which is really intricate. But this had a feel that was similar to it, I think, because of the choice of instrument.
And a bit of a sort of haunted fairground kind of
clown maybe.
Thing.
Yeah, crazy clown or something. But
you know what's really weird with the haunted fairground thing? I said like both tracks chilled me out, but in different ways.
Chilled you out in really uneasy ways.
So Granny K's one just kind of like I just kind of found like kind of how he kind of stacked the melodies almost sort of like hypnotic. I was just kind of just sort of like doing. I don't know what my face was doing, but I was just kind of just basically kind of swaying, doing a bit of that, and then I know we talk about the other track afterwards. That just kind of sort of like drew me because I just love that sort of like style of just kind of, because there was lots of like mess with the sample of like proper like washed out reverb sort of like textures in the back, which I really sort of like latched onto. So yeah, man, I just thought really cool approaches, really cool.
And the repeating piano line was kind of hypnotic as well.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
So then the other one was Funk Moon Camp, featuring our very own Pete Sasquatch as the porter. So the track was kind of odd in some ways a couple of days ago, and when I sent it to Campy and he listened to it, he really liked the arrangement, but he was like, should we ask Pete to put some like spoken word on it, because it would be perfect for that. And basically Thursday night, I think it was, I gave it to Pete, and he somehow came up with this, like, he sent me this whole page of lyrics once he'd recorded it. It was just perfect, like so good, Pete. Thanks for doing that.
My pleasure, man.
And it
was so
just
funny
like,
when you sent it. It was like I got no fucking clue how to keep the meter on this, because the drums just kept wandering off. Like I've been trying to record to it, and the drums just went, and I'm like, how am I supposed to stick with this?
I mean,
and I was like, oh,
that's perfect.
Go with it.
So how'd you come up with the lyrics?
It's funny because before, obviously, we're at completely opposite time zones. So before Danny turned in for the night, he was like, "Oh, do whatever you want. The world is your oyster." So I was like, "Fuck it, I'll use that as my first line, and then I'll see where that takes me." And it was like, I was like, "Well, he's a kind of an East End sort of character." So I've no idea where that character kind of comes from, but I just find it very easy to write in character rather than. I'm not particularly interested in being myself if I'm doing any kind of sort of vocals, but I do enjoy writing and I enjoy inhabiting other characters. And he's just so easy. And as soon as you say oysters, it's like, well, it's like jelly deals and, like mussels and, all that kind of stereotypical, like East End, old school kind of thing. And
what's
he just
jelly
wandered
deal?
off with that. Jelly deals.
Jelly deals. Got it.
Jelly deals, fella. Jelly deals.
Together.
Jelly deals.
Jelly deals.
Jelly deals. No, but
price.
the nice thing is like how because the music kept like changing under you, but like that made you go different places, like with the lyrics and with the timing on it. That it felt like the different feels of different sections kind of like inspired certain sort of, you know, suddenly it was a bit more up tempo and then you were kind of like a bit more laid back and then it was like you know, so it was like
Yeah, there was loads of dropouts. So there was points where it was like I'm gonna just make this one 3 lines that rhyme and then 2 that are just really just spaced out with just a couple of words.
Yeah,
and then
it was perfect.
The beat would come back in, so like, I know where I'm going again. I'll string a couple of lines together while the beat sticks around, and then it's dropped out again. So I'll space it out and step back a bit.
I don't know how you approached it from like not having heard the track and then listening to it and then trying to make sense of the arrangement. Where, you know, because in some ways the second half of the arrangement is like a repeat of the first, and that was like the one thing going in that I sort of, when I made the arrangement, I was kind of thinking, because usually we have like 8 or 16 bar sections, which means that we can have 3 sections and we can never go back to one of the old sections. Like, so I was like, well, I'll try and make Campy's life a bit easier by using, you know, 4 or 6 bar sections and actually repeating the first half of the song over again. And then it turned out like not what Campy wanted after anyway. But yeah, no, I think it came out really good. And for anyone who cares, we've dropped our first volume of this thing. Like I think, the Funk Moon Camp Volume 1 is now available on Bandcamp, and it's Bandcamp Friday if you particularly feel inclined to go down there and support us. For now, we've just decided, because we were umming and ahhing about what to do and whether we should remaster stuff or whether we should put together like compilations, and then we were like, well, let's just put out a chronological archive, a record of everything that we did, and then moving forward that may open doors to doing other things. So that's on funkmooncamp.bandcamp.com.
Did that come about because of me? I mean, I know you guys have been thinking about it and talking about it, but this week, you were like, I got an announcement. I'm like, Yahoo! We're gonna get that Funk Moon Camp album, and then you were like, no, and then a day later or 2 days later, it dropped. So I was like, huh?
Oh no,
was I responsible?
No. It's been in the works for a while, but we were just kind of, we've prepared. We've got now, because last week was week 52. So we've done a full year of weekly collaborations now. So I figured chopping them down into 13 track sections is like kind of a quarter of a year, and they're 13 tracks. And then, so we've already got the next 3 prepared. Awesome. And we were possibly discussing, I probably shouldn't, well, I'll just say it now anyway. Anyone who buys the first volume will just send you codes for the second volume. So, or if you buy the second one, we'll send you a code for the third one. Just so you get 2 for 1s. I've just we kind of didn't decide on that, but I've just said it out now anyway. I've said it out loud now, so now I did. And also, just on a slight side note, because I don't have a solo track this week, I also put out, I went back to the beginning of the archive and I put together, I've got another 3 volumes of my personal flips coming out, so that's on funksmyname.bandcamp.
I don't have the link for that.
It's just funksmyname.bandcamp.com as well. So
just on a broader kind of note, just like in a general sense, I can't encourage people enough to kind of just go at it and don't overthink the idea of like putting your music out there for people to get. Just like the sooner that you feel like you've got some in there, that just gather it up and put it out. Don't overthink it. There's a whole. I think there's a great benefit to like finishing stuff and getting stuff out there. You get the experience of something that you can't sort of deal with it as a thought experiment. You've just got to put it out there, and then you kind of deal with what comes afterwards. And you find out what does work, what doesn't work. But you've got a marker in the sand. And the nice thing is, the more that you kind of carry on doing these things, you get like your favorite artist. You can
confidence,
appreciate how they've grown.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to track your progress. You get to track how you've developed and everything else, and you see where you're at. And if you're not careful, all that's going to do is sit on your hard drive, and nobody else is going to.
Well, that's the thing. Like with the weekly flips, like I've been making music for over 20 years, and we released a couple of albums over 20 years ago, and since then I've basically not put anything out. And until the weekly flips, it's really helped me sort of like not think too much about perfection and just sort of like get ideas out.
Totally.
And although until now I haven't actually archived them together, and that took a bit of like convincing too, convincing myself more than anything. But still, like just the fact that we're here every week and we're doing a track, regardless of how good or bad it is, if you actually get it done and you put it out, it goes out to the world and other people can give you at least feedback on it.
Absolutely.
And it builds everybody's confidence to just put stuff out there. And actually, the only thing holding people back usually from putting stuff out is because they're comparing it to their favorite artists or comparing it to things that they think, oh, it's not as good as this or that. But people don't think that way. And the other weird thing is that no one, like, you can't hear your own stuff for the first time like other people do. So it's impossible to judge your own music. Completely impossible.
So so people have asked me, like, hey, send me over some of your favorite tracks. So that actually is a hard exercise. So I'll go through my Instagram and I'll pick out, and then I'm like, well, I'll just send 2 or 3, and then next thing I know, I can't weed out of the 8 or 9. So right there, I got an album, right? If I just grab those 8 or 9 tracks, I got a release. But the thing is, the reason why I don't do it, and I don't want to discourage anybody, because I think you guys, you're right. Everybody should totally do it, but I'm reluctant to do it. Yeah, if they want it, but I'm reluctant to do it just because I feel like my stuff's already available. Like, just taking the same thing and putting it in a different place doesn't make it into an album. You know what I mean? Like, or it is an album, but why should anybody care? They can already get it. You know what I mean? So that's
even
the
if
reason
it's
why
only
I don't.
even if it's only for you though, like if it's on your Bandcamp, even if it's just for you. See, the thing is, like, if you hesitate now and you go like, okay, I'm going to do that in a year. In a year's time, you'll be producing things differently and you'll change what it was. So you won't be able to have that marker that shows you where you were. You'll get a distorted version of where you were mixed with what you have now. Yeah, but that's in terms of, like, you'd have to go through all of the different flips and everything.
I think, like, for you, Michael, it exists on Instagram, and that's what you chose to be your archive. Yeah. But I think that it's a different audience on Bandcamp for sure. And also going for other people, like for your own record, that's fine. But for other people what I'm saying, for other people to look on your Instagram and go, what's that? Can we hear more tracks? Yeah, we can hear more tracks. Just
I'm doing it wrong.
I'll play Benjamin next. I've got thrown off my thought, but
we'll come back to it.
Basically, no one's ever going to go back to your Instagram and look from your first Instagram to now to listen to your archive. Whereas if you actually put down palatable chunks that on Bandcamp that are easy to find, people might actually listen back to your old stuff, and you may grow an audience that you never had in a year's time for stuff you did a year ago. But anyway. Let's move on.
Move on to track,
because Benjamin's getting twitchy.
Not just Benjamin. He's right. He's keeping us on track. I appreciate it. Thank you, Benj.
Hey, yeah, we don't have Gerber's timer this week, but
yeah, that's right.
All right, let's see if I can get this. We've got audio track. Let's see if I can make it play.
Just life. Deserved recognition on the daily, but it doesn't happen ever how you think it will. usual doesn't pan out. Nothing filled hearts don't seem proud, no doubt. Exist in the future the best that you can. Symbolize this, symbolize that. Makes you feel better at the end of the day when you know you had the K-Fam, K-Fam. Just life. It's another easy day. Gotta make my mind up. Take a deep breath, breath. It's a zenith every day. Gotta make my mind up. Just breathe.
Keep your mind on your mask, kid. Horror form a classic, it's drastic. Villain hydrochloric acid, splashed it. Pull a knob, reach and blast it. Pin stripes on a basket. New York style, wow. Shut it, grab easy. It's only entertainment though, we thought out completely. Sad to me, the cook getting the dropping bag cleaner. Master schemer, expert in that arena, puffin' Pasadena. You read the grass was greener. Black beamer, IH, gyrate. Rubbing shoulders with pigs who don't fly straight. Just it, causing indigestion. Assuming good or deep, into profits, no question. Those agents sniffing around, pay attention, you can take that to the bank. Thanks, don't mention, plus it's all mine. Ain't mad at y'all. Play advantage like playing paddleball on Adderall. Be green, that is all. One more rhyme. Some switching apples and lines, pure pork rhyme.
And we're back.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We doing the collaboration first or the
Yeah, go for it.
backwards or forward?
Whatever.
Go for it. Go for it. You start wherever you want to start, man.
Collab was very cool. Drums I thought were really stood out. Really liked Bennett's flow over the style of the music. It was like a really nice combination. Worked really well for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting to see him over, like to hear him over something a bit more kind of straight up. It's an intriguing contrast. I mean, you're so, I don't know, you're so used to like the combination of like the approach of FMC. So to hear Bennett over something that's a bit more like traditional sounding was an intriguing juxtaposition.
Well, I suppose just following on from that about what was intriguing, of course, just with how the sample choices kind of probably influenced what we sort of like did, just with time signature and stuff, and taking that kind of 3/4 thing and making it more of a kind of a 4/4 head nod sort of hip hop sort of like tempo, just because of how they sort of flipped it. It naturally does a thing which I kind of obsessed with Alchemist, of how he just makes the actual music groove. Yes, the drums and everything else groove, but the actual melodic elements actually groove. So the way he kind of did the chop, it kind of had a groove within it, but was still kind of very sort of like straight. And I just kind of really enjoyed that. I kind of like did my whole kind of thing, sort of like doing that, listening to it. So I just kind of really like that from a rhythmic sense. So I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was interesting in the second half. There was almost just like the original sample was there, but then it was like the way it was twisted round made it sound a lot like the original for a very small section, but sort of different. It was really well put together. That was nice. And that was followed on by
ultimately,
Soviet.
I want to see, just to say, I want to. I mean, obviously, we're waiting for the inevitable camping with Mike Patton. That's what we obviously need to hear. So. It's the collaboration, the vocal collaboration that we're after.
So Soviet Villain followed that. I thought they were quite a good pairing. They followed on quite nicely from each other with that weird sort of. It became more of a woozy, dark thing, but it was cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked there was like a lot of styles in the one track. It seemed to like morph from one thing to another thing into another thing. So it like didn't keep me firmly planted into one style, which I thought was really interesting. But I also really liked how things got really like distorted, like the speakers blown out, sort of distorted, like it was too loud or something. Although the levels were fine, I think it was just intentionally.
That's your favorite
yeah,
type
exactly.
of distorted.
Yeah, exactly. Like intentionally made to sound like it's distorting a certain
Blowing your speakers.
Yeah. But then contrasted with the vocals, though, was actually quite an interesting pairing. I thought that was really cool.
It's funny because most people don't touch the acapella. When they throw an acapella on a track, they kind of leave the acapella as is. They kind of leave the acapella to kind of rock as it sounds. Whereas Soviet Villain put quite a lot of, there's lots of reverb and stuff on there. There was, kind of really brought the acapella into his kind of world and made it live within the same style of the track, which is a really nice touch.
Totally.
I've got some tracks to download, but I'll wait until after the next couple to do it.
Yeah, man.
And hopefully this guy will stop barking. Look what he's done. He's on high alert. So yeah, let's roll the next couple of tracks. It's going to be Rushi, followed by Fly the Rapper.
All right.
I'll remember to mute myself, otherwise it's going to be barking.
A nice pairing.
Should be good.
Había una banda de rock allá en los años 90, se llamaba Fate No More, se llamaba Fate No More, hacían skate punk y nu metal. En el 92, sin hacer mucho teatro, lanzaron una canción que estaba en 3x4. 30 años más tarde un koala la agarró, la combinó con folclore y un rock progresivo se inventó. La cocina ese pasticho y a Mike Patton le gustó. Malia koala, Malia koala, rosa, samplea todas las cosas desde el patio de tu casa.
That was cool.
That was very cool. The dog hasn't shut up yet, so I'm going to have to mute myself and download stuff. I'll be back in a minute. You guys talk.
Put us on screen, man. We're not on.
Oh,
yeah, that's
there we
better. Man, that was incredible. I don't know where to start. We'll start with Rushi, I suppose.
Yeah.
We should go with that. I mean, what? What is that about?
I don't know, man. She started flicking the finger. I was just like, what? Are you kidding me? I couldn't believe it. Yeah, totally amazing. I just like how it started off so pretty. You know, like it started like right off the bat. It was beautiful and epic, which is pretty hard to pull off in like 5 or 10 seconds. Like to get that feeling. Oh my god! Like wow, this is gonna be huge, right? In 5 seconds time, and I know I was right. It was exactly what I was expecting.
The thing is, it was beautiful and epic, but it was just restrained, which made it feel like personable. Like seriously, I mean, apart from beautiful, I don't know how else sort of like to describe it. But I think it's just the minimalism sort of like of it. But it just, yeah. I mean, I just loved it. Absolutely.
I think to take on juggling 3 koalas and koala effects all at the same time, she's pretty fucking high level, man. And
but the thing is, like, it didn't seem like. I feel like that was just a natural thing. I want to achieve this, so this is how I'll do it.
Yeah,
I don't feel like she would have thought twice about it. It's just like, I need to do this, so I'm going to need 2 of those, and that's a given. Like, I'll just have to control both of those. So they can be my left hand. Okay, so my left hand's only doing 2 things. That means I must have to do at least another 2 things with my right hand. It's like, what?
Yeah, so, and the granular stuff was just really cool.
So I wanted to ask, Benjamin said that that was Koala Effects beta, but I don't think that was.
No,
there isn't a beta for
There isn't a Koala Effects beta. I think on the bottom right was Koala Effects, the app, like which has got the bouncy ball thing, which Hegrin showed us a few weeks ago in his flip. And then the rest was just like using the old what was his name? Go on, help me out, Pete. The
Omar Soriano.
Omar's granular sort of thing, and her voice is just perfect for that as well. So she could just like
totally
move on her voice, and it's just like beautiful.
That's the thing. You work so well with those sustained notes. If you're gonna, if you can have a sustained note with a really nice texture, using it in a granular style is always going to work so well. It's why, like, when she was saying about getting sampler as well, it was like, well, yeah, that's obviously going to work really, really well. with that kind of singing approach.
Totally.
And then Flying a Rapper.
Oh my God. Wild.
That was insane, man. That was.
Since he's come to the group,
I love the structure of it. The structure of it was so clever as well. It was like, I'm going to give you a bit of information, so the track's going to be a bit chilled in this bit, and then I'm going to switch it up as soon as I've given you that information, and then we're going to go somewhere else. So clever, man. I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I feel like he brings like a level of creativity that other people have got that level, but he's bringing it pretty regularly where like from week to week, you're always like, is he going to do something absolutely bonkers insane? And very often
you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. I think the one thing that is really consistent amongst the group is people are very kind of comfortable with themselves. It's that whole idea of like, I'm going to be in my own skin and whatever is kind of true to me, that's what's going to come out. And I love that about the group, that it does mean like, obviously, I know that like Flying a Rapper's brought all kinds of like percussion into it. I know he really enjoys different time signatures. I know that's particularly something with like merengue and cumbia and all the different types of music that he's kind of using as his base. It's not a 4/4 thing consistently. It's very much his wheelhouse to be like, yeah, of course I got 3/4s, like I'm happy with this, or I can switch it up and be whatever.
And it's off the wall and fun, and
Absolutely.
and I think that with this group in particular comes because everyone is like really open and like everyone wants to have a good time. No one's really like gatekeeping any particular genres or anything. So as soon as anyone is having fun, that's all we want to hear. It doesn't matter what it is, and that's one of the. Yeah,
you could hear that he had fun making that track. There's no mistaking whatsoever. That was an enjoyable track to make just as much as it was to listen to.
And from out of the gate, he started with like a different song, so it kind of had the energy really high and upbeat right off the bat. So you could kind of get into the fun from the first beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
All right, what's next?
I'm just downloading stuff, so just like talk. I think I'm good. I think I'm good now. So okay, so let me see. We've had another like 4 submissions, so we'll talk less, everyone, from now on.
Get Remy.
Remy says only music,
but he sent one.
Oh! I thought he was telling us off for talking too much. No. Let's have a look. Remy, not yet. But I can get to it after. I haven't got Remy yet. Last one I got was Das Goods. And then I've got a Discord one for Hegrind and Mark Deluxe.
Awesome.
So let's...
Because it was a fusion.
I think what happened was, earlier today, I said, we've only got 17 submissions. So they were like, well, throw down the gauntlet. Well, let's do a quick collab. So I think that's how that came about.
Oh, cool.
But before that, we've got Mark Deluxe on his own, and then following something else, which I haven't queued up yet. So we'll be back after this.
Remy finished his. He said the 38-minute roulette. How was that for amazing? Remy is so fast. incredible.
Crazy bass.
Two heavyweights. And again, I love how this happens. Those kind of pairings of tracks. They're so complimentary. Those two is just so good.
Yeah. So starting with Mark, he was saying that he put this together super fast earlier, didn't he?
Wow.
And it's
I
just
feel like that sums Mark up though. Like he has this ability to put together really, really interesting, intricate percussion. And it's a lot of, he'll play this down because I know what he's like, and he'll kind of go like, oh yeah, I just kind of just threw stuff together over. But it's the curation of the sounds that he's using is what makes it really, really work. That's why it feels like a whole like progression. You can kind of go through, I don't know, like I know Michael picked out, it said like I reminded him of Nina Cherry. That element of it, it can go from like 90s sort of, I don't know, like early sort of trip hop kind of feeling stuff, progress all the way through like a whole like 20, 30 years worth of dance music inside of like 2 minutes. There's little snatches
it felt way longer than 2 minutes.
Totally. But it also didn't feel anywhere near long enough. Like a DJ set that with that applied to it. Do you know what I mean? It would be amazing. It'd be like the classic Journeys by DJ, the Cold Cut one or whatever. Some of like the truly amazing like complete like genre crossing sort of amalgamations where it's this whole different thing. That's the kind of thing that I know I'm going to get when Mark does stuff. It's so good.
Mark is definitely at a point where I think he should be going on Bandcamp and putting all his flips on there because they're all so effing good. Like they just sound polished and complete. That collaboration with Rhyming was just like completely insane. Like he just needs to put it out, man.
Yeah, his level is very high. Speaking to what Pete said, I definitely was hearing like that kind of 90s vibe, but for only part of the track, that was what was interesting about it, because the other part was like completely current, you know what I mean? So to be able to sort of jump between but fuse the two together was impressive for sure.
Yeah, man.
Sounded good too.
And Naril, who's only just got an iPad like 3 days ago
and was
installing it. He's just like, he knows what he's doing. So
I think you're right. He just knows what he's doing, because like normally we have to educate them and tell them what to do, and like, here's where you find the AUV3s. You need to download them. He's already done that. He's already figured out the multi-out. He's already just made a track with it. And nothing stopped him at all.
It's really funny with Narils because when I sort of like heard it, it's giving me the excuse to use the voice baseline. Because the baseline hit, I was like, yes. It's just like, it's really interesting, kind of like that just kind of hit me straight away. But it's interesting, kind of thinking of his track and sort of Mark Deluxe's in that. I sort of, like the Reels, best way to describe it is that it was very kind of like weighty and pointy, if that sort of like makes sort of like sense. And then they kind of like, and then Mark Deluxe's was just, it's just very sort of like round. But I mean, the journey thing you just sort of like said, I think the thing which I just love to geek out with him on is it's almost like he hears the whole thing. I can't imagine him sat down and it doesn't sound like sequences. It's almost sounded this. It just sounds like one thing.
It's just, that's a good point.
And based on and just how his approach to that, I just think it just sounds like mood. Just like, okay, this is a mood, this is a vibe. He's really capturing a really I'm basically.
He's got a vision that he's putting down, and that makes it faster for him because he knows what he's doing before he's done it. Whereas my approach is completely the opposite. I'll be just like throwing shit together until I find some stuff that works. So but
my approach is that
it gives you a real maturity.
My approach is that Mark knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
I don't know how that affects my music, but that's my approach.
The
great thing about just in Narelle there with the iPad is, he wasn't overloaded with all of the channels. He had the multi-out, and it's that thing of like what you can do just by the first step, but people don't seem to realize if you go from using it on Android and you've not got any like outputs and stuff, just being able to split it off into different outputs and put something as simple as a low pass, high pass on each of the channels or whatever, it makes such a massive difference to what you can do, the versatility. Oh, I'm just going to drop this segment out, I'm going to drop that segment out, bring it back in. And that itself becomes a whole, you can have the classic Tubby approach to like, you can give a track so much movement simply with having faders attached to the different groups. And yeah, he's only going to get more and more extreme with what he does with that, man. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Usually when somebody just gets their hands on AUM, they want to jump into the deep end and go crazy. And I'm usually like, actually just figure out how to do the multi-out and nothing more. Like just once you do that, all of a sudden everything's going to open up for you. And, then you can add on a compressor on one or two things, or, a low pass filter or a high pass filter, but just keep it really simple to learn to start.
There's loads of that stuff in AUM as well, isn't there? That's the other thing.
Totally, all built in.
You can have all of those, like the various filters that there are within AUM that are just great. And the amount of difference, like even from like a mixing perspective, filtering stuff away and giving everything its own space within the track makes a massive difference.
Yeah. It's Flying Arepa said, how many instances of Koala is this? So did anybody have a sense of that? Because I wasn't really looking.
I think it was just one. I think he just split it out with the multi-out. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't paying close enough attention.
Is he is Android?
Is Arepa on Android?
Yeah. Maybe that's why he didn't really. I think he said he was buying a phone or something, an iPhone. I think he's in the process of that.
Okay.
All right. What's next?
So I was trying to download Remy, and that's why I kept dropping off, and I still haven't managed to do it. I'll do it in a minute, but I'll play LV.
Yep.
I don't know how you guys pronounce it. ALV, and
LV.
Followed by our very own Michael Gerber. So
awesome.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've put Michael on the solo. Hang on, that's the wrong, because I used to be in the top left slot. Right, let's do this again. Woo! On the screen. We're all back.
Yeah.
Wow, that was heavy, man. I liked all the like weird static amp like spring reverb shit in the outro. It was really really cool.
Yeah, man.
It was
There's
in the
some
track.
awesome
In the
textures.
Yeah.
Thanks. The spring reverb was in the track. It was just when I dropped everything else out, suddenly it was amplifying you could hear the individual pieces, but it was throughout the track. You just couldn't hear it throughout the rest.
Yeah, no, it was a real nice outro too. But yeah, that was awesome. Halfway through, where it just all builds up, it really like came together. It was great.
No, so I really enjoyed that, man.
Thanks, Pete.
I think you're muted, man.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, I muted everyone while the tracks were playing, and then I forgot to unmute.
I just really enjoyed your drum programming on that, man. I mean, the actual sort of like textures of very spring reverby, and it was almost like some, I don't know, like almost it's sort of like in the highs, almost like lots of little kind of hi-hats, almost like they're pitched up, almost like a series of them. So I enjoyed that, but just the programming, man, it did really, really cool groove to them. So I just latched onto that straight away. So I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I used Drum Computer for the first time. I finally purchased it because it went on its once a year sale. And I have no idea how to use it. I didn't read the manual, but I hit play and I checked presets, and then I hit the random button enough times. I must have hit like 50 times until I finally found a bunch of sounds I liked. And I went, okay, that's not the norm. And then I messed with all of like the individual random stuff that I could just to make it sound slightly more mine. But honestly, didn't do a ton of programming. I mean, other than hitting random buttons a lot, I didn't do a lot of drum programming.
But choosing when to stop the random button pressing is kind of part of the process.
And I'm not saying that I didn't do anything. I'm just saying like, I don't want to take credit for like, I sat there and like I really programmed it really well. But I actually liked my process this week a lot. I'll try to be really quick. But I didn't have a lot of time, so I just grabbed one piece right out of the track. I broke it up. I did not even check to see if it looped properly, so it wasn't a perfect loop. I did 16 equal chops. I didn't care when they started and when they stopped. I organized them into an order. But after that, I just went all out on one output into AUM. And then I used multiband to split it up into 3 separate tracks. And then I applied different effects on all 3 of those. One of which was, so once I started doing the effects, I started doing a very Pete-centric sort of week. I started finding myself using every single beat cult tool that Pete's ever mentioned. So I started off with a Polyvox, and that got me what I'm calling the bass line. I mean, I didn't program a bass line, so anything that was in there that sounded like notes is coming from Polyvox and out of that sample. And I used the guitar sample, so it wasn't even like a bass line. It was just it is whatever it was. And then I used Blee's Sidekick for some of the drums. That started me off with the drums. And I just kept using more and more and more of beat cult tools. It's pretty much a Chow tape model. I did everything. But
sounded good, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. It had an awful lot of like really interesting textures in there.
It's interesting that you can make a track that kind of sounds like a song, even though I didn't program any melody. I didn't use any piano roll. I didn't use Koala to pick a sound and then play it on the keyboard. Like I didn't do any, there's no notes, you know what I mean? It's just whatever that guitar sample was, and then you break it up into enough tracks and route it to enough filters and stuff, and you can actually sequence it into a song, I guess. I mean, it's interesting.
Again, that's an interesting juxtaposition with what Eyal did with his track, which is obviously coming from a very musical kind of element of it. So, he took part of the sample, and then obviously Eyal likes to play instruments a lot, and he'll have his own bass in there and stuff. But the trippiest thing about Eyal's stuff this week is I would never have imagined that like very slow boxing footage would work well with that, but it totally did. It was so amazing, wasn't it? I was like, I would never have thought, do you know what? What we need for this beat right now is incredibly slowed down boxing footage. But it just was like, for some reason, like the way the track worked with the footage, it made it kind of quite emotive. It was like damn, like I'm really feeling the kind of the heroic struggle of like
it was like the
hitting
slow-mo final scene of a Rocky movie or something.
Yeah, man.
Like tear-jerking.
It was crazy.
Yeah, really cool.
What was I going to say? AL's track was just really stunning. I always feel like his production quality is so high that, you know, he can take anything and make it sound really good. But this actually was a great track to begin with, and then refined it even further. So it was like, for me, it really worked. Like, I really enjoyed that track a lot.
I like the way that he blends the kind of he had like the slower drawn out sort of higher elements, almost sort of strings, pads kind of feel to it. And then he had the bass line, which was a lot more busy, not like overly busy. It was still quite slow, but it was like almost twice the tempo of like the sustained notes. And it just kind of, it gives it that epic sort of bed, doesn't it? That whole, once you've got something that provides that space for everything to sit on, it's beautiful. Just works really, really well.
Yeah, really nice. So I'm just organizing things. We're kind of halfway through and an hour and a half in, but it's all right. We did a lot of talking in the first half. Let's move on. And we have next up is De Frente. Oh, you just posted the Funk Moon Camp link. It had too many HTTPSs on the front. But, we'll be back after this. Nice.
That was awesome.
Damn.
Yeah. I'll leave you guys talking while I download. I'll hop off. You carry on.
Well, good. Faux funk. I think is interesting. As I was thinking, I just saw like Mark Deluxe just sort of put it perfectly of just kind of flipping the mood of the track, like based on the sample, which we all worked with. Faux funk made something which was happy, triumphant, and soulful. I don't know how you did it, but absolute wizardry. Absolute wizardry.
That totally was not in the track, was it? That was amazing.
No, not at all.
There's many places you could take that track, and that was not one of them that I expected.
Well, I mean, there was weird timing. It was more of a carnival track. It was definitely heavier and darker, and suddenly this was uplifting, light, soulful, dancey, summery. It's everything the track wasn't. It was awesome. Transformation.
The thing is, all it needed was to kind of fit the backgrounds that they sort of like put in there of the crowd jumping. All it needed was like a voice snippet from like BBC iPlayer going Glastonbury. That's kind of what absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
it kind of reminded us. We've spoken about this the past couple of weeks. Seems to come up quite a lot, but the Yo Gabba Gabba thing was strong with it as well. It had that kind of element. You could see like the Yo Gabba Gabba kind of characters.
Yeah, the gifs definitely help.
That kind of music. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of gets in that more
the
younger
squid and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
man.
Man.
Totally. Loved it.
Yeah. And then in the previous one, just with that driving, I suppose what I liked how the previous one, how the tracks stacked in that it just kind of had that driving sort of like bass on drums keeping it, but just sort of like the stacking in the arrangement kind of like kept it moving. So it's like it had its bass, but the way it kind of like went up and down with elements coming in and dropping out, I just really enjoyed it with that constant sort of like groove that really kind of kept me as it was progressing. So I really appreciate that that component of it.
It's the way that it stacked on the frequencies as well was really nice. It was like we've established the bass level. We've got that area of the frequency range covered. Yeah. Then we'll get something a bit more in the kind of the mid range as well, and it lifted the whole track up. It's quite interesting how putting something in the higher frequencies does lift the track up in a kind of a literal and figurative sense as well. It was really, really nice. I always find it quite curious when you see somebody's screen recording, though, and there's nothing in the sequence that's playing, and there's only one sample in the sample pad. It always makes me laugh. It's like, is this something like secretive? Does he hide all of his stuff in like Bank D or something? Is that where it's really going on?
Yeah. Dear. We've got a Cockney sort of like request there.
Yes.
Cockney request. I don't know what he means. I don't know who that guy
is. Right, I'm gonna get ready.
You're in stereo, dude. I can already tell. You look instantly turned on stereo or something.
Stereo.
ASMR. Right, I'm gonna get some more tracks and talk between the barks so you can hear me.
Sweet.
Wow. We're back. So
Hefty.
that Grux thing, I don't know how, like, literally as I was getting ready to start the stream, they were like, oh, okay, you've only got 16 submissions, let's do another one. And they got this video. Where the hell did that come from? It was just
the video
crazy.
was so good.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. Insane.
No, that was insane. Yeah, that was amazing. The funny thing is like sometimes a collaboration you can go like, oh, this person brings this bit and that person brings that bit. And then other collaborations is like, that's something that I can't imagine either one of them would have come up with. It's like there's no point when you go, oh, that's where this person stops and the other one begins. It's just, yeah, that's a fusion. That's like what is it they used to have in chemistry classes? Sometimes you put things together and they wouldn't mix. They still have the component parts, and other times they'd fuse into a whole new other thing, and that's what that was.
Yeah, I think with the fusion, you put it eloquently. I suppose I can't think of the name of what you described. I just kind of think of Dragon Ball Z and Gogeta. That's what I think of. So that fusion, just yeah. No, yeah.
So after that, Sample the World was Das Goods. That was not a collaboration. That was his track, and that was cool.
Yeah.
Can somebody post the link for Das Goods album?
It's probably I was about to say dasgoods.funkmyname.com, but that's not it. dasgoods.bandcamp.com, I guess, is his stuff.
You said go to Funk Moon Camp for yours, and yours was not on there, by the way.
No. Mine's funksmyname.bandcamp.com. Right. Yeah. dasgoods.bandcamp.com. Let's see. Yep, that works. All his releases are on there. So go to dasgoods.bandcamp.com. He's got 5 things he's dropped on there.
Sweet.
I'm falling behind. So yeah, that was awesome. He's embracing the live AUM session thing where he's like mixing stuff as he feels, rather than doing too much like pre-sequencing, which is cool, like dub style. It's cool.
But yeah, man, listening to quite a bit of his like stuff. It's like one particular track from his latest release called a sort of like Freak. It's just, I said, it just makes me think of that when like Two Step Garage was like dark and good and like ooh. So it's like so I can't recommend that people just go and listen sort of like more to it, more than just that track. The rest of it is great. It's just I'm listening to it quite a bit at the moment. So it's definitely worth just kind of headphones on and just zoning out to it.
Yeah,
big time.
Did you guys catch his? Did you guys catch? I enjoyed it. The synth stuff in the background was actually really fun and perky. That's not the right word. Bouncy. Kind of
perky or bouncy.
Bouncy.
Either way.
Kind of kept me interested. But did you guys catch his collab work that he did with for the other label? I can't remember.
No, I didn't.
Oh my god, it's really good. Worth checking out.
It?
It's very
Yeah.
It's very lo-fi, which is to be expected because he got paired with somebody who's like truly lo-fi artist. But it came out really good. Just it's same sort of thing. It was a good collab in the regard that you don't know where one artist begins and one artist ends, but it was just quality.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's cool. I've got a track called 97 Demo 1 My Ass.wav, and I can't figure out who it's from. But while I figure that out, I'll give you some Jimmy Fingers.
Yeah,
let's
go.
As soon as I update this.
Wait, what was the other track?
Just
we'll catch you later.
Oh, which one?
There was
Larry says that's him.
Yeah, the Hagrid and Mark Deluxe one.
Oh yeah. I didn't talk about that, but it was great. It was amazing. Go.
Yeah.
I'm bouncing back. I'm bouncing back. I'm bouncing back. I'm bouncing back. I want to as I sweat in the bed. I 3-4 as I feel as though I'm dead. I'm hot and I'm cold, I feel 100 years old. I know the story's been told, I feel like I will collapse and fall. Days and nights, I'm climbing the walls. I completed Netflix, I watched it all. Now I gotta get up and push the immune. I will bounce back, cause it's the name of the tune. So I crawl and I grind and I reach for the sky and I pull myself up, and yes I will survive. And I'm feeling my toes and I'm twitching my nose. Now I can smell the coffee, cause that's how it goes. Like a post, feeling good, bouncing back in the hood. And I know that I should, cause I thought that I would. Bouncing back on the beat, now I'm back on the street. And I'm feeling the funk and I'm moving my feet. P-O-U-N-C, bounce back. I got stuff that you lack. I come from way back. This beat's dope, another chorus, here we go again. P-O-U-N-C, bounce back. I got stuff that you lack. I come from way back. Funky fresh rhymes, rewind the track. So I fall and I grind and I reach for the sky and I pull myself up, and yes I will survive. And I'm feeling my toes and I'm twitching my nose. Now I can smell the coffee, cause that's how it goes. Like a post, feeling good, bouncing back in the hood. And I know that I should, cause I thought that I would. Bouncing back on the beat, now I'm back on the beat. And I'm feeling the funk and I'm moving my feet. P-O-U-N-C-E, bounce back. I got stuff that you lack. I come from way back. This beat's dope, another chorus, here we go again. P-O-U-N-C-E, bounce back. I got stuff that you lack. I come from way back. Funky fresh rhymes, rewind the track.
Sorry guys, gonna re-roll it.
Oh, Danny.
Bullet.
Hey, it had to happen eventually. It's like the fourth stream. It's never happened before. All right, let's go. I'll get Hegwin back up. Sorry, guys, that was a bit stressful.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the old mixeroo, as I like to just make up on the spot. Yeah, I felt like those two thematically were in the wrong order, but
I don't know.
no,
I
Didn't
think
bother me.
like they're so different. It doesn't matter which way around they go.
yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? It's kind of
Yeah.
sometimes you need that kind of bleak solace after the upbeat kind of like
The
the
bleak
all out
darkness
give me
cleanse,
assault.
as you like to call.
It's
Yeah,
just a reminder that darkness is never far away.
Yeah,
Darkness.
that's true. That's
exactly.
very
Man.
true.
It haunts every step. It could be.
Yeah.
It could be like any kind of time it could come for you.
Caption that.
Yeah.
I thought that. I thought the. I mean, yeah. I mean, drums in it. I mean, just kind of crispy groove, just there, with just atmosphere. It was like, yeah, man. Again, just kind of minimal, moody, just groove and just that koala with the teeth just eyeing me up. Like, what are you looking at?
Yeah,
I
man.
don't
If
know
you
if it
looked
came
into
through, but
those
there was a
eyes,
real
man, you're
low.
gone.
Yeah, there was a real low drone going on there, which like real bassy drone, which sounded awesome at this end. So I don't know if
The
it
drums-
transferred,
Yeah, man.
but
The drums were really interesting because it started off kind of more straight, which was complementing the music, but then suddenly became, hip hop. So it was, and then would drop back. It was like it would vacillate between the two styles, which was interesting. I thought, an interesting choice. The
it was
overall, the
slightly
song
off
was,
kilter.
yeah, the song was really cool. I really, really liked it. I mean, I always like his stuff. The quality is so high, but
Yeah,
really cool.
and you know it's him as soon as you hear it as well.
Yeah, man.
So
But that's another thing that unites both of those. Like you're never ever gonna mistake. Oh, this is not a Jimmy track. I don't know who this could be. It's exactly the same thing. Like you know exactly. They've got such huge kind of personalities that comes out so naturally in the music that they make. It's it's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, it's nice. The chorus especially like that came back. It's nice to see that Jimmy's like feeling better and
Yeah.
singing about it. But yeah, the chorus just sounded really cool. Like
The energy
an
levels
anthem.
are always like
Jimmy's
quite
track you're talking.
Yeah.
yeah.
Transition.
I
Always
loved.
quite envious.
So I really love the kid singing. I don't know if you guys caught it because it's sort of built into the chorus, so it could be anything.
Yeah,
it could
totally.
be his own voice, but I'm pretty confident that it was two separate sets of kids singing along that he incorporated into it, or he invited them to sing the part, which I just thought was awesome. Like it just made that chorus so much more fun, and because it was a fun track to begin with, because it's like so light. But then the catchy, fun kid singing, I think, just pushes it over the top for me.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that was cool.
The other thing as well, the thing that I always find quite funny is it's the level of kind of it's steeped in like so many sort of classic elements of different eras of hip hop, but at the same time, like the amount of new modern techniques that there are there. Like for example, if that would have been like a classic of that era style hip hop track, I wouldn't be hearing like the vocals panned in different places in my headphones and little things like that, the touches that really elevate it above something else completely that gives it kind of like the kind of this has to have been something that was made very recently. This couldn't be like a throwback thing. The audio elements of it are like a whole different thing that I think works. That's one of the reasons why it works so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real nice. Cool. So has Jimmy got a Bandcamp? It's Bandcamp Friday.
He does. have,
Jimmy, yeah, he's got his
Yeah,
he's
of
got
course,
his koala project on Bandcamp. What's drop the thing? Drop your thing in the thing, and we'll
flipping
push it
fingers?
on the thing.
Don't tell him to do that, man.
Drop your things
Drop your
on
thing.
our screen, and
it's this.
while we reel from the imagination of that. I'll move on and play Bud the Fish proper.
Do it.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Oh, you got it. Pete got it.
That was sick.
Totally. Journey.
Right, hey, based on what was spoken about before, you need to adjust your lighting now.
Oh yeah, good point. You need to turn it right off. There we go.
Right off. Yes.
We spoke off camera about Pete rating the tracks by the amount of illumination on his head, and the darker the better. So this one gets a darkness rating of 0.2 out of 5. That was cool, man. And what was that, like a camera noise at the end? What was that? Like
I've got no idea.
In the outro, there's like
I've got no idea. I know, man. I don't know. I've no idea what that was.
He doesn't even know what he's doing.
No, I was like, I don't know where that's come from. I'll leave it in there. It sounded good.
It must have been Fair Filth. He must have.
Could well have been, man. He was losing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I got him to drop a few like literally 2 bars of guitar, and then chopped them up and used that as kind of the main thing. Tone stacked it, obviously, because how can you not get tone stack involved? And then you were saying about the wah wah thing. That was literally. So I got a single cycle out of one of Mike Patton's vocal bits, and just looped a tiny little bit of his vocal and tuned that, and then put the melody in and was just playing there's like a couple of wah wahs in tone stack, and I was just playing it. And I was trying to think, like, if I was a guitarist, how would I play the wah wah pedal? And I just kind of did that, and then I had a delay on it as well, and then just kind of flicked the delay on.
That wah sounded so good.
It's a lot of fun, man. I was like, well,
that little
why should
element
guitarists
just worked
get all of this? Yeah, it's like, why should guitarists get to play with this on their own? I haven't got a guitar, but there's no reason why I can't play with a wah wah pedal. Why shouldn't I? So yeah.
Did you guys see there was a free Nembrini wah wah pedal that dropped?
Yeah, man.
No,
honestly, I'm fully dedicated to the tone stack life. That's how I'm living.
Yeah. So, are we going to be seeing Fair Filth again in the future, or
people want to know who Fair Filth is?
People want to know who Fair
Filth is, man.
Yeah, sample the world.
Yeah. You need to get some guitar involved, but you can't play guitar yourself. You call the brother, man. Brother Phil.
Fair Filth.
And he'll give you what you need, man. That's
Are you gonna give away the secret or not?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. We'll keep it under wraps. If you want to get just email fairfilth@petesasquatch.com and you can book him through there. Cool. So then before that we had Bud the Fish.
Yeah. Time.
That was cool, man.
Mark had said about Jan Hammer or Jan Hammer. It's such a good shout. The different textures of synth that he had going on there, and the really nice thing that I was like, he's got the percussion exactly right for the era. Like the era of synth that he got was like, it needs this kind of drum on it. It was so perfect, and the way that it was dancing about stereo was so nice. But then the way that he incorporated the original track in there as well was perfect. You know, the slabs of guitar that we kind of had coming in.
Mm-hmm.
There was like, this shouldn't work. We're in a different era, but he got it to blend in perfectly. Worked really, really nice.
Agreed.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I kind of made my comment on the chat, but I just really like when I talked to Bud on our Discord, how he has collected all of these tools, and he's always trying to find time to make a track and everything. And I really feel like Koala Beatcast, it works for all of us for a variety of reasons, but it really works for Bud in the same way it works for me, which is kind of gives me a reason to use all of these tools and like get off my butt and do stuff. And if it wasn't for the challenges, probably wouldn't be making stuff as regularly, and sometimes what I deliver isn't as good as I'd like it to be, but it's okay because I know next week I'm going to have another opportunity. And so I think, Bud really gets this opportunity to use all these tools he's amassed. He's usually the one bragging how he's got, well, he doesn't brag, but he's always like, oh, I got so much stuff I don't want to buy anymore. And he's finally getting a reason to use it. This track in particular really gave me that feeling. Like, is there two synths that are completely different synths? Is it like 5 or 6 different synths? Like, I couldn't even figure out what was going on. All I knew was he was layering all these really amazing sounds on top of each other. It really worked well.
I think what you're saying about the Beatcast is, to be honest, especially since you're kind of young in the production, like in your production life, if there wasn't a Beatcast, you wouldn't even be putting out these songs. You wouldn't probably even put them on your Instagram. You'd just like be filing them away and never listening to them again, which is why I think it's so important to just put stuff out there, because, you know, people get to know you. But going back to Bud quick, I think one thing I really like about Bud is how he's got a production queue of stuff he started, and he won't actually let it go. Like I just let go so much shit all the time. Like I'll start 100 things, and the one thing I'll do and actually post, if I forget another 5 things, and the latest thing that I finished is the last thing that I'll ever finish. And then, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, until the next thing I finish, that will be the last thing I finish. I'm not ever going to go back to finish anything that is past that thing, so I respect that about his commitment to his production queue.
You know, I had to switch it for, you know, in AUM where you can have the files sorted out by most recent. If it's not on most recent, it really depresses me because of how many there are, but I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
I've no.
You give them daft names.
So many dozen, and you're like, oh shit, I got so many tracks, and nobody's ever going to hear them probably unless I actually, you know, I get around to going through them all. But yeah, Bud's got this really kind of like a very disciplined approach of like, I've got 3 tracks on the go right now, and I'm gonna finish all 3 of them, and maybe one of them will get done this week and 2 will get done next week, or maybe it'll be the week after. But it's
almost like he doesn't want to start new stuff until he, like, it builds up and annoys him that there's stuff in the production queue, whereas I just forget it exists and start onto something new, you know, too often, really.
Yeah.
But, so I
it's nice to see
that.
in the chat a lot of people are saying the same thing. This whole thing about us having the outlet of the Beatcast gives us the impetus to kind of get stuff finished and get it out there. Maybe it's not perfect, but
the thing is, the outlet side, I think what it sort of like does, which I think is just to take a moment to appreciate it, like develops your creative confidence because you're sharing stuff as you're making it. It's almost like the more you make, and if you make lots but you don't share lots, there's this weird sort of like anxiety, and you kind of, it's good, it's bad, and we all do. We make stuff, listen to it one day, it sounds all right, listen to it another day, oh, did I do that? As opposed to, by the more you kind of get out, you develop a sense of, actually, like, I'm better than I think I am, and you keep learning and you learn from other people. So just developing that creative confidence, I just think it's huge. Like, I can't overstate that.
And it frees your mind from the clutter of like all that stuff that you're like, oh, I should be finishing these other 5 things, and like I've got 5 finished things, but what do I do with them? Should I put them out? You know, what are people going to think? And it's like, if you just put them out, the more you do it, and I think it becomes easier as you get older, like, to just not give a shit so much and just put stuff out, and people appreciate it and they hear it with fresh ears, unlike the 2nd, 3rd, 4th time you hear it in a week. People don't hear that. They just hear it the first time and they're like, oh.
I think Jason actually, and Remy reminded me, it's like the fact that this exists is so key. It's like, there's no reason why I would ever make a track or finish a track if it wasn't for this show. And the fact that there is an outlet for people, no matter what their level of experience is so important. And so hats off to Remy. I really appreciate that you created this. And I think you can see from all the people that join in and contribute that may not be making anything if it wasn't for the show. So, you know, just appreciate it.
I think the deadline just makes you...
Well...
Go on.
Sorry, man.
No, you go.
I was going to say, ultimately, the other thing as well is the people whose music I'm looking forward to most hearing are the guys that I'm hearing on a Friday night. It's like I get that kind of fix of what was people going to come up with this time. There's no longer that whole, that in a couple of months there's going to be this new record from whoever, or maybe next year the new record's going to. It's like I'm going to hear something absolutely fresh in the next, like 7 days from now. We're going to have a whole new batch of stuff from people whose kind of progress I'm following like I'm invested in, and I'm following you very
It's a
closely, and I
great
get to
point.
hear.
Yeah.
It's amazing, man. It's such an incredible way to experience music, both from a creative perspective and from a listener's perspective.
It's a great point. It's not that I'm uninterested in the artists that I listened to before this show. It's just now that I'm making music, I have less time to go in search of that music. And I'm listening to your guys' stuff. I listen to our show after the show airs because I want to hear it, but I also want to give feedback, right? But on top of that, when you guys release stuff, I just want to hear it just to get it back in my memory. Like I listened to Danny's release today. It was such a short listen. It was like just a few minutes, but I just really enjoyed it. And so that's filling up my time. I completely agree with you, Pete. It's like, it's not that the other music isn't important. It's just that this has become so important to me now. Like what you guys are producing is valuable to me, really valuable to me. So
Totally, man.
I appreciate it, all of you,
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's cool. Right. Let's dry our happy tears and move on to Emmy's band. We'll be back after this.
No audio.
I think Remy's video doesn't have any sound.
I think you need to convert it, maybe.
Uh-oh. Well, Remy's song sounds a lot like barking dogs.
He was online, so if there wasn't audio, maybe he can resend. But
yeah, I'll have another look. Meanwhile, I'll play something else. Hang on.
Huh?
Just need to cue it up. Shut up, dog.
Toff is giving you some serious grief, man, and rightly so.
I know, man. Yeah. I was going to play... There we go. Rhyming on the beat. Let's go.
Let's go, Matt.
Yeah, one man can't do it. One hand,
What?
let's try it. Hit the freestyle, man. So, one man comes, alright. Okay, one man tried with this rapping stuff. I had to make this happen cause I be rapping tough. Put it together so nice it be the ill stuff. When I do it for real, I really kill enough. Trying to freestyle and make the beat, but it's not gonna work, but I try this faithfully. Look at the camera and smile. Then I go back cause I gotta do this all in one time. The freestyle is wild, but that's be true. I'm looking for the snare. Man, where are you? Okay, I see the waveform there. It's coming nice as click. It's sounding like a different kind of click. And this other one up in the right left is up pitched. That's all I got, man. Rhyming.
Oh man!
Wow.
That's so good.
God damn. So talented. It's ridiculous.
What I love about Matt is just the risks he takes, and he's not shy to show his
Outtakes.
attempts. Like, you know, it
Man, he
is what
shows
it
us
is.
working out. He shows us working out, like, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
yeah.
all. The crazy thing is, you know, it's funny. I saw one of the best shows I've ever seen. I saw Big Daddy Kane at the Castle
Oh, wow.
Factory in Birmingham, and he did a bit where you know it's part of his routine where he drops the mic, but he doesn't drop the mic. Like he drops the mic and it's on beat, and he picks the mic up and he goes, drop the mic, and it's still dope or whatever. And it was just like, that is perfection. And it's the showmanship of it, and there's that whole thing about like Matt's so ridiculously like honed in terms of what he does. He doesn't need to worry about like, yeah, I can miss this snare, I can whatever, I can lose whereabouts, I can try and use both hands when I'm using one hand to hold the mic. I can overcome these obstacles, and it gives me something else to talk about and to keep you in the moment. It's so engaging. It's such a powerful like tool, a powerful talent to kind
It's
of
what I was
to
talking
have that
about.
direct.
The self-confidence to just show your vulnerability, I think, is what connects an
Totally.
audience. Like if you try and make everything perfect and polished, you'll sound like 100 other things. But if we hear him do his thing, even if it means dropping the mic and then having a laugh about it, it's like, you know, when you have a gig, like it's almost like we had this gig once where just the very first song of our very first gig, like we just completely messed it up, like big time, and then just like laughed about it, and after that it just released all the pressure, you know. So it's just
man.
like having the confidence to show yourself.
You know, the thing
and
is,
that just
I think it's the extent to which he shows us that he's human that illustrates how he's actually superhuman. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's such a strange kind of dichotomy of like in showing his weakness, he illustrates the fact that he doesn't have any weakness. It's perfect.
and it empowers other people to show their weaknesses as well, because
Absolutely,
like
man.
you know, which is really important, I think, especially in nowadays, where like perfection is less important than personality.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know,
man.
the thing that I find interesting is when I'm in a hurry. I don't know. I'm making up the story that he was in a hurry, and so he just gave us this take, right? But when I'm in a hurry and I have to rush through a take, I hear all the imperfections, and I assume occasionally you guys hear some of them as well. But for him, when his imperfection, it's like a bonus. It's an extra. We're talking about how awesome that imperfection was, right? So he's clearly doing something right, if it's showmanship or just his infectious laugh or whatever it is. But like a mistake that Matt makes, like actually is a benefit. It adds to the track. It makes it more better.
Dealing with the imperfection is the entertainment value.
Totally.
Well.
Like everybody can do things. When it goes right, you don't learn anything about yourself. It's the bit where it goes wrong that you kind of go, well, I've no idea how I would react in this situation. And then you're in this situation, so you find out pretty quick. Oh, I'd just do this. And the thing is, like, knowing how long Matt's been doing this and how long, you know, how much time he spent freestyling or whatever, it's not the first time at all that he's kind of come up against these things. And he has the confidence to just trust himself and ride it out. And it works so much better. It's like the best freestyles for me are the ones that are like you can turn up and be absolutely perfect and whatever, and it's like 9 times out of 10 the majority of what you're saying is a pre-written. When you can hear that it's not, it's that whole thing about, you know, when somebody's in the middle of a freestyle and the DJ is not listening to them and they switch up the beat halfway through, and it's like, oh, you throw it off kilter but he gets back on, and it's like that kind of thing. When it all syncs back up again, it makes it 10 times better. You're like, that absolutely killed it.
Yep. Emmy's track.
And Emmy? Yeah.
We're on the same mindset. For me, I really liked how upbeat it was. It had a positive, happy side to it. And I actually think it suits the upper tempo. I think kind of suits Emmy quite a bit. I'm inclined to say she should lean into it a little bit more and see where that takes her, because it's a whole unexplored territory from my ear, because I haven't heard anything that I remember being like that, you know. So it's cool.
Yeah, man.
She had these bass hits. They weren't like it wasn't a bass line. It was like individual stabs or something that I thought was actually really interesting. Worked really, really well. I don't think a lot of people do that. So it was kind of cool. Almost as if she was playing like a drum or something, but it really worked. And I also liked the dropout. I wrote it really changed the style, the whole style of the song. I think the rhythm dropped out of it, right? And it was just like some other.
Yeah, but the drum didn't. The really nice thing is the drum kept up the same pace.
Okay.
She went to half speed with the bass line, and it was like, that juxtaposition of you still had the forward momentum of the drums. It had got an infectious groove to them. But then it had slowed it all down. So you got the different vibe, but they're consistent at the same time, which worked really, really nice.
Yeah. It's cool. She's doing new things, you know, pushing herself. It's very cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I just tried to play Remy's track offline, and I'm not getting any sound on it. But it's 270 megs, so you'd think that there's something in there.
Oh, weird.
We're actually approaching near the end. There's a last few. I've got Flying Zulu. I've got Remy. I've got a Vicent track. That was the one that was called 97 Demo 1 My Ass. And I think that might be it. So
cool.
Let's see if Remy is around and can send us the track again.
I'm gonna private message him and see if that reaches him.
I could try and see if I can export audio out of it, but it might just damage the stream in some way.
Try.
So I may not risk it.
No, try.
Okay, well let's play some more tracks, and I'll try it while you're talking about the next track.
I know what you mean. It'll the stream will get choppy.
It might. I don't know. I'll need to. I can run it through Adobe Media Encoder and see.
Do we have a Grimbacore track?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
okay,
I do. Yeah. Is it a video or is it an audio? Let's see. I'll find it. Let's play Flying Zulu, and I'll find it after this. Nice. Just quickly, I'm going to go off and do that conversion, see if it helps.
Go for it.
But there's only 2 more tracks I've got, unless anyone knows otherwise. So let me know if I'm missing anything.
So I think it's Lewis is going to send one. So we'll check before we go offline.
Okay. Yep.
Right.
No worries. All right. I'm gonna drop off. You guys talk about those 2 tracks, and I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, man. So starting with Flying Zulu, just a really kind of, somebody said it was a glitchy groove, which I think summed it up perfectly. It kind of came in with that kind of odd sort of off kilter, but very much meant it, and then it kind of developed that on. It already came in kind of a skewed kind of riff to it, and then moved it on, and then just kind of like, yeah, well, let's see where this is going to go, and progressed it. I thought that worked really nicely.
Definitely.
Agreed.
And I think just with all of the choppiness of creating a really cool sort of groove and melody, I just quite like lot of the percussive elements. There was something almost kind of felt kind of like cow belly. When it's that's the best way I can sort of like describe it. When that sort of like came in, I was like, oh, and it just keeps building. I was like, again, I was like, damn, mental. Just yeah. I mean, was 64 pads even enough for what? I'd love to see a screen record because
that would be cool, and it could be more than one AUV3, more than one instance of Koala. But agreed, it was like crazy, like all over the place, and that's kind of where my brain originally went with it. Was like, oh, it provides some solid footing for a short period of time, and then pushes you off the cliff, and you're free falling, and then brings you back to like some solid footing again. I thought that was really interesting. Like, but then it started getting like I started focusing on the kiss my ass part, and suddenly when it got glitchy, I thought, oh, like Flying Zulu must be a fan of Aphex Twin, and if he isn't, he should be, because for fuck's sake, there was like the like, I don't remember what the line is, like "fuck you cunt" or whatever the fuck it is. It's like just totally throwing like obscenities at your face while everything's glitching out and going crazy, and like throttling like noise at you was very Aphex Twin. I suddenly started to find that, like that was within the track, So just cool. I thought it was really cool. I love that kind of experimentalism, even if there's the aesthetic of it isn't necessarily what I love. I love how creative it is, and I'm like there for it. I want to know every single technique they're doing, and I want to follow it. It's like the fact that somebody's that creative on a track just interests me, Grimbacore?
loved it when that I was just trying to, I'm not too sure, like when the sort of like the distorted guitar riff sort of like came in. I'm just trying to work through it in my mind whether that was in the sample or added.
No, that was him.
Because
That was
that's
totally him.
right. I'm glad, because I was doubted myself. So you've kind of helped me with my sense of self, with kind of saying that, because that just did fit beautifully. And I think in a few ways musically it just was a great addition, but also sonically credit to their production skill, because the very fact of I couldn't tell whether it was in the sample or not. I mean, I struggle
Totally,
with this a lot when I'm playing guitar or bass on something, and sometimes the work is just texture-wise, just to kind of get it to fit. And they just had it sort of like spot on. So arrangement-wise and production-wise, I just really appreciate that guitar riff. I loved it.
The thing is, for me, I find a lot of the time when people kind of approach electronic music, they kind of sideline a lot of, maybe they've been playing like electric guitar for years and they've decided to kind of put that to one side. What I really enjoy is when they go, actually, no, I was good at that. Like, that was useful. I can use that. I'll bring that in there. And it's when those two things meet that you get these hybrids that it's much more like uniquely that person. Like, it adds in, obviously, like he's got the elements of like, he kind of deconstructed quite a heavy rock track, or, kind of not as heavy as like Faith No More can be or whatever, or have been. But then he kind of took it full circle. He deconstructed it, made it relatively light, then brought the guitar back in there that he brought to the party, and that turned it back into something. He kind of out Faith No More, the Faith No More track.
Don't hate on me, Jason, but I think I preferred that I think I preferred Grimbacore's track than the original. It's not that the original is bad. It's just like this aesthetic of this was much more appealing to me than the original track's aesthetic. It's something about that carnival like off kilter thing like doesn't hit for me. Or this I can just enjoy it from start to finish, and I'll have to think about it, So hats off to Grimbacore for that. It was really cool. It was a complete and full track too. It was like a well-conceived song, if we call that a song. Lewis, you need to send your track. Did he? Oh, he saw the message. Okay. You got to send to Koala Flip Challenge. All right. Any Danny, well, you're on mute. Pull yourself off and let's hear your comments.
Oh shit!
It's okay.
I've talking this whole time over you, like I usually do, and but I had myself muted, luckily for everyone. No, I was just going to say that I saw that Louis B787 said he sent the track, but I haven't received it. And I converted Remy's track, and it's still silent. So we may have to just.
So, can you give him another email address? What was your Penguins? Let's go Penguins 2020. Come on, you got some Penguin email address.
Notorious Rooster.
There you go, Notorious Rooster at
it's notorious.rooster@gmail.com. But I think I don't know if that's the issue. Other emails are coming through to Koala Flip Challenge, and I've checked the spam.
Trying to give him another option.
Well, the other option is he actually uploads it to WeTransfer and sends that to Koala Flip Challenge. I don't know if maybe he's trying to directly email.
You're not getting the email. So
I'm not getting his email. I am getting the email.
So if he sends you think he did an attachment? Yeah,
he
you
might,
can't. So
have, I don't know.
Lewis,
if it's a big file, I don't know. If it's a big file and you try to attach it, then
if you sent an attachment, don't send an attachment. Host it anywhere and send us the link to it. Try that.
Be Celebrity Penguin at 15 minutes of penguinfame.org.
I could swear he said he was going to sleep.
Yeah, but he couldn't resist, and I'm glad he didn't. So we've got a This'n track. Let's play This'n and then come back and see where we're at.
What about Remy's track?
It's silent at the moment, so unless he comes back, SoundCloud. If it's on look, I might be able to play stuff out of a browser at this end, and it should be the same quality if the sound comes through. But
just before we go into Larry's track, I love this comment about the Grunbacher track. He said, "This makes me feel like I just ran into the guy from In the Air tonight, and I've got some memories to share, but I've got to follow him home first." It was basically perfect.
Yeah, that is perfect. All right, let's go with this.
Larry is a writer, so I'm not surprised he came up with a cool thing to say. Let's go.
You got a peek behind the curtain there with my little VLC logo when the track ended. Larry always brings the happy chaos. Love it.
Totally.
You know the great thing about that I've started noticing a lot about the way that Larry constructs his tracks is he does a lot of syncopation with the micro chops. But then there's like on this one, for example, there was the guitar that had quite a lengthy reverb on it. Though you have like the extended notes that sit underneath the kind of staccato syncopated little micro chops, which works so well. Again, it's that kind of juxtaposition was just so good.
Totally.
Yeah.
I never really give thought to like how he constructs it. You know, people are like, "Oh, it's all micro chops," but I think he's sort of doing it all at this point. Sometimes he leans in. I kind of like that too. He like leans into the micro chop stuff every once in a while, and then combines it with like new stuff.
It's so rhythmically interesting to kind of take those elements and construct a track like that on that basis. I find it really, really appealing.
I think sometimes he gets in there with a pencil and he like draws out patterns and stuff and then sees what it sounds like. I could be making that up too. I feel like he said that before in the past. He'll probably correct me on the chat.
There's like 100 motorbikes passing my house right now. So.
Oh, that's a thing in New Zealand too? It's a thing here in the US.
Here in particular, because I'm in a little rural kind of village that's between sort of a main kind of artery of the South Island, and then there's like some nice stuff over there, so they kind of go through here, and there's anyway, it's a long story.
All right.
So I still haven't got I sent you to Koala Cast email, right? Let's see. I still haven't got anything unless I don't know what email address, like
Koala Cast emails, what he wrote. It's a flip challenge.
Koala flip challenge, man.
We've told him what the email address is. It's Koala flip challenge at gmail.com.
Unless his email is from a name that isn't Louis.
No. He's sending it to the old email address, but which we don't have access to.
I don't have access to it. Yeah.
So can you resend it to koalaflipchallenge at gmail.com?
Or just drop the SoundCloud link and I'll see if I can play it. But other than that, I think he's been out the loop. All good, man. It's no problem. But it's.
Can you send it quickly though?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is amateur hour, man. We're at 2 hours 48 and we're almost done. So.
I know, it's just that we don't have any other tracks to like buy time. We're gonna have to talk about.
You're just gonna have to talk.
We'll have to talk about the cat and Beanie Man. Beanie Man.
He's been listening. He's just here.
Is he still on your lap? Really?
Yeah. 100%.
Wow, that's amazing.
He has got the keys to the bin.
Pete's like a proper Bond villain. He's got the shaved head, the cat on the lap.
The worst thing about it is I've had to get more and more horizontal because he just stretches out, just pushes me out of the way. So offensive.
Good man.
Cool. All right. Well, let's wait and see whether
he said he sent it to the new email address.
Yeah. I'm just watching it as we speak. So Remy, I guess, went to the hospital, and maybe because he might have sent the track before he went to his appointment.
And you said if you open the video in a video editing program, is there audio in there?
No, I converted it using Media Encoder, Adobe Media Encoder.
What if you open it in like LumaFusion or something like that? Does it have an audio file?
No, I actually ran it. I tried to open it in VLC Media Player and it's got no sound on it there either. And that should be able to play pretty much anything.
It'll definitely be on the YouTube video when Remy does it.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me go back to his original link and see if it plays directly off the browser, because then I can probably do it. Let's have a look.
And did the Lewis's track arrive?
No, not yet.
Serious?
Oh my god! Shut up. Dave.
How?
Hang on.
All right, I guess we keep talking.
Yeah,
just say something.
Sorry,
Pablo. Talk about your course again.
Yeah, talk about the
race. There we go. So one thing I didn't add in my sort of like impassioned, rambled pitch before is that with this, with sort of like the course, said first online course, sort of like put together, just kind of putting my brain into this, but I'm kind of doing a little bit of a sort of like an experiment in that. So it's available sort of like to sort of like buy up until this Sunday, sort of like a 5 p.m. and then sort of like after that, whoever sort of like got it, I'm temporarily going to sort of like stop it, because what I want to do is that even though I'm really happy and proud of what I put together, I really want to kind of work with a group of people once they've sort of like got it, and kind of work with them, just sort of see how they're finding it, what's good, what could be better for them before I roll it out, because I just kind of want it to make it the best that it can be. So I kind of want to work within even though it's a digital course, I still want to go back and forth with people. So I just kind of want to make sure that it's done right and people are really getting something from it. So that's just another side of sort of saying that it is time bound to this initial sort of like round. That's the reason why. So I just kind of really want to make it right, you know?
Yeah, you might want to, especially if you're thinking about it like this is a trial run, you might want to invite 1 or 2 people you really, really like and will work with you, and maybe check in with them, and see how the program is working for them, just to help you to refine it. You know what I mean? And if you're looking for people,
you're looking for people. Yeah. No, for sure. No, I think what he's saying is sort of like it's right, because this is just kind of coming from sort of like a concept I'm sort of piecing together based on people saying, "Oh, I can't get this right, I can't get this right." So regardless of the fact that I'm proud of it and I've kind of painstakingly spent a lot of detail on it, at the end of the day, it's new. So I know there's some things which may be better than what I thought, maybe certain things which aren't quite giving people exactly what they need. So yes, that's really sort of like the idea of it. And I suppose it's just it's interesting sort of like with the bass sort of like part, because it's one thing I'm finding of trying to translate my session stuff, like say to this course, is that certain people have particular things in mind that they want to do. Like, we all kind of hum and beatbox things to ourselves. They think it sounds so great when I hum it and beatbox it, but when I translate it into the track, it just doesn't have that feeling to it. So it's like me just kind of really trying to dissect what feel is, because in practical sort of like terms. So it's so I'm just kind of breaking it down in small sort of like batches, and just the whole idea is just information's all over the place, sort of like how I learn about scales, I learn about tones, whatever, but it's the fact of just kind of like sat here in front of me with your door and your one shots right, shape your tone like this, approach a melody like that. Do you have a 2-bar loop, which maybe not much is going on? With a bass line, you can make it feel like an 8-bar loop, just with doing that. So it's I feel like drums have had that sort of like attention with drum breaks and one shots and things like that. But not just being biased, bass is interested in that. It's melody and it's rhythm. So I think it carries a lot of weight. So yeah, interesting. So that's my second half of my pitch, and I suppose in my advert voice, basslinepatterns.com. Get it now.
Nice.
Get it now.
It's up on the screen.
Cool. So I got Louise through, nice. And I've got another one from Joey. It's only 2 megs, so I'm just gonna quickly try and grab it. Also, I've got one from Joey D0, yep. And I'm going to try and play this and see if it plays Remy's through the browser. So let me know if you get no sound.
Do you get any sound?
I can't check while I'm on here. So let's see.
No sound.
No, man, nothing.
All right. Remy would understand, and he'll definitely put it on the YouTube. Think about all the times he's had to apologize to people because, they didn't work. He'll understand.
Yeah. Well, Yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying. Just one last thing. Nah, I don't know. That doesn't seem to be working. So what I'm going to do is play. Let me just lay up Joey's. Is that a video? Is these? Let's see. Hang on.
So Pete, should I stick with the beat cult tools, or go back to my regular thing?
Man, make the beat cult tools your regular thing. That's where it's at.
All right.
Do what you feel, man. I mean,
it's interesting. It's not that I feel like I'm biting, but I do feel like I'm having fun playing in your space, but I just don't know what your space is because I haven't really done much analysis on it. I see the other people who do stuff in that similar style, and they just get it, right? And I'm like, for me, I don't get it. I sort of would have to sit there and analyze it. I don't want to analyze it. I just want to
just have fun, man.
Yeah, I've been having fun with it for sure.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I think it's just the philosophy of pushing it. You've got the sound element, and then the rest is just what you bring to it, pushing your own comfort zone into the beat cult space. Right, I'm going to stick D0 on, and we'll be back.
All right, let's go.
Nice. That was worth the wait.
Totally.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for the persistence.
Was that the last one?
That was. So I think that were the last two, D0 and Louis P. That was, it was a great ending.
I was going to say that was so fitting that it was really nice.
Yeah.
Like you picked out the basics, which was such a nice touch. But the whole feel was just like, that is the perfect closer for the show. It was like, this is taking us to very nice, chilled places.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And he said he got the bass out to do it, so he played live bass, and it's cool that I picked that out.
Man. Guide, yeah. The feel of it was beautiful, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, really enjoyed that. And just, and then on the zeros, the drums, like, the texture was like beautiful, but what I found really interesting was like even just the pattern sort of like of the kick. It kind of reminded me of all of those kind of special herbs sort of like feels that sort of like do music, but doing it on the kick, just that little sort of like stutteriness, just sort of like it's stuttery, but he still managed to kind of smooth it out with everything else. So I just really enjoyed that element of it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, there was some motion and like movement in the synth part that was actually really interesting, like a cool texture on the synth. It wasn't just a straight sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very, very cool. How does I think he made that on the show? Am I wrong, Lewis? Like, how did you do something that quickly? That's incredible. I'm always impressed by you guys.
Yeah,
man. On the show, that's just wizardry. That's just
See, the thing is, there's putting together something which is an impressive thing in itself, but creating something that has its own feel to it. It had a lot more. No, he didn't do it in the show. It created something that had a real feeling to it. It had not just like, oh yeah, it's a nice track. It had like a whole. It brought its own mood. It was just like. Yeah, it was really, really nicely developed, really kind of sort of mature track.
It was awesome. Just thank you for delivering it to us and bringing it and getting it on the show. And I agree, it was totally a perfect closer.
Yeah, man.
Was it a flip? Was it?
He had something, and so he added the flip to it, which is awesome. I just thought it sounded great.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah. Managed to get this dog to shut up. Turns out all you need is meat.
Oh well, of course.
We get that on the t-shirt.
Zeros.
All you need
is meat. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, that's probably not the best shirt for a vegan, but
no,
my next door neighbour was wearing a t-shirt that said "I love fossil fuels" on it the other day.
Which I thought, really? That's so weird.
He's into motorbikes. It's silly, but anyway. So
D0's track. Yeah. I'm glad he sent it in.
Banging drums.
He was really reluctant, I think, because he didn't feel like he completed it. It was an incomplete track, but I'm glad he sent it in because it really.
Definitely.
He did a lot of work on that thing. It was pretty great.
Yeah, man.
I like the peek into people's workflows and people's minds. So to see something that's not finished can be quite an insightful little thing as well.
Yeah.
For sure. And I could totally see him adding...
He seems to have solved the loudness problem he was having. It's sounding good, so...
Yeah, big time.
Now all that's left is to... everything else.
Yeah, well, a short number of weeks, he's really upped his production quality significantly, right?
Big time.
Seems to have his head around it. I think he thought it was the tools. And I think he's going to finally realize what it took me like a year to realize, which is it actually isn't the tools. You can make amazing things with just Koala. You just need to understand what you're doing. You need to have some basic understanding of some of the concepts. And tools help. And tools help. Don't get me wrong.
Help, yeah.
Of course they do. I mean,
and in your case, by your own admission, totally. A lot of the time your tools you're using presets and stuff. So.
Absolutely.
Like, the tools are allowing you to do a lot of stuff that would take you a long time to figure out to do otherwise. So tools do help. They're not the only thing.
I've been like really leaning into a bunch of the tools I've gotten because I'm really excited by the choppy, stuttery, glitchy thing. And so I finally have tools that allow me to do that. Could I have done it before by doing hours of experimenting with different like effects to try to record those sounds and then add those sounds onto my pads and then program those pads and like pretend I'm as good as somebody like Aphex Twin? Sure, but this saves me hours, and honestly, I hadn't been doing it. For 2 years, I haven't been doing that, even though I want that sound in my song. So definitely, tools make a huge difference. I don't.
But I think that it's kind of, in my opinion, a false thing to like be too like purist about how something was created. It's like, yeah, you could spend your entire life learning to play the bass, or you can spend a much shorter time following Pablo's course and get to the same result. You know what I mean?
Or a completely different, or a completely different result, but both might be equally awesome.
Exactly.
Results,
yeah, you know? I think part of the issue is obviously trying to recreate something that you love, rather than just doing something that makes sense to yourself. And I think that comes with maturity as you do things for longer, and also learn that you can't be asked to spend the years to learn to do it the way that the other person did it, because your life is different.
I think just with sorry.
Yeah, no, you go, Paul. Paul, go. I was going to talk business, which I can wait.
Okay, I think just with doing something you love, I think it comes into you get into a point of you're just trying to sound like what you sound like, and when you kind of like get that, you're like, it's like, okay, I've messed about stuff which is almost like a version of what I like, but hang on, it kind of sounds like me. I don't cringe at it, and I think it sounds cool. And then when you have those moments, it's just amazing. Like, I know when I have those, like, I don't sound like another version. It's actually sounds a bit like sort of like me, and it's those sort of like things which are just like, just buzz off those moments.
Yeah. And you'll get there quicker if you do. I mean, not like I was going to say like Matt. Just allow yourself like D0, putting things out that may not feel like they're finished, complete, polished, and something that he would be proud to like try and get a record deal with. But at the same time, it's a step on the ladder, and putting it out means that we can encourage all the good things that he did, and he knows what to work on. So yeah, it's cool. So also, I'm just like, you were going to talk.
We should get people to throw stuff in the sample hat.
So you're moving on to business. Danny, did you want to do anything before we move on to business?
No, that was business. I was about to say that, like, because there's 4 tracks in the hat at the moment, and if you want me to, I can pick out those 4. But if you want extra time and we want to give him...
So I don't recommend you pick out of the hat. I recommend we leave Remy to do it, because I think it's his thing. But absolutely 100% everybody throw in a song in the hat. Otherwise, you're going to end up being stuck with some trash that I put in, and you don't want that. So I highly recommend you dilute my choice and throw in some great things. The other 2 pieces of business I had was, and we're hoping to do this. We all want the sample hat to be picked tomorrow, so throw in stuff tonight so that Remy can spin tonight and we can get it and have more time to do our flip. Christmas tape, I think Remy said the 15th is he's hoping to do for the deadline. So that's not a lot of time, guys, because once you do your flip this week, you're not going to have a ton of time to like add. Now you're going to be trying to squeeze in 2 tracks into 1 week, and it's going to be hard. So I highly recommend starting your Christmas sample tape track. And then the last thing is we don't have a lot of clarity yet, but we do know that we want to do some Christmas collaboration thing. Is that right? Does anybody know anything about that?
No, I thought it was. So
what are we doing?
I haven't read up on if there's been any changes, but the Secret Santa thing you're talking about.
Secret Santa, yeah. So what?
Which I think was so. As far as I understand it, the idea is, and he's doing it for like the 3 Saints Day, which is like in the beginning of January rather than Christmas itself. I think if anyone who's done a flip in the past can submit their name and that flip to, and we'll announce it on the Discord what the actual rules are, but there's a way he can, Maxim Robin is organizing it, and he's going to have the system email individuals someone else's track, and you can use that as your flip sample for the week. And then when you complete that flip on the week of the reveals, then because people won't know who's actually got their flip to flip, and that's where the gift exchange element comes into it. So I think that'd be a cool thing if we can make it work. So
and I had
go on.
So I had asked Remy to consider if maybe we can make that our week and not do an extra challenge in between weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
think
we should only really need a week, so it'll be the first week of January, I imagine.
Awesome.
But what we'll need to do before then, we'll just discuss with Remy to make that happen on that first flip week. But we'll get the email address. We'll get everybody who wants to take part to provide their email. If they don't want to share it publicly, just send it to Koala Flip Challenge email address, and we'll collect all the emails and then make it happen. Pass them on to Maxim, and he can organize the rest.
They're teasing us because nobody understood what the concept was, but obviously I didn't either because I couldn't remember it.
Okay, I'll try and reiterate
time,
for the 9 people that were still here.
Right.
So I think the idea is, because obviously we're picking a sample each week and just making a flip of it. So the idea was to flip someone else's previous flip, or a track that they've made in the past, whether it's a flip or not. But so each person who wants to take part is also going to submit one of their previous flips, and that will be distributed to a mysterious receiver who will use that as their source for that week's flip. And so there'll be a kind of gift exchange in that, like, I might have Pete's track and he won't know that I'm the one working on his track as my source. You stopping me, or you just what? Oh no, it looked like you were putting your hand up. Like,
no. Sorry,
like
my hand's in the foreground accidentally.
Oh no, all good. Yeah. So I was just
Testify. Got this.
So maybe that. Yeah. Maybe that. So I'll discuss with Maxim, but yeah, we'll just need emails. So because the idea is that there'll be a system online that sends whose track for you to use. We can put everybody's track in a folder, but everyone will be secretly distributed which track they should download and use, and then we'll have one of these to reveal everyone's tracks to each other. So
sounds awesome.
Hopefully that makes more sense.
I've
basically said exactly the same thing a second time, but
sweet. Well, let's see if we can let's wrap it up so that we can get out of here before we get to 4 hours.
All right.
Yes.
I think we're done, right?
Oh yeah, 31333. Yep. All right. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you for staying. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you guys for hosting with me. And
thanks, Pablo.
And we'll pick a roulette thing before. Yeah, cheers, man. It was great to finally be on a stream with you. And good luck with your course. And we'll see you all next week, where Remy, I guess, will be back, hopefully. And and we'll let you know on Discord what the sample is. So
love you, Bennett.
Have a good evening, or morning, or
Take
day,
care, everybody.
And we'll see you next week.
All right.
See you guys later.
See you guys. End broadcast.